everybody. It's the Painting Dad here, and I am joined by Zendraw.
Hello.
And we are here trying out this whole podcast thing, and we're going to see how it goes. But we're going to be chatting about a couple topics today, and yeah, and we're just gonna hang out and chat. I'm going to be painting minis while we're chatting, so if you hear the random water swish or I don't know, brush falling out of my hand on the floor or something and me hitting my head, that's what that is. So don't be alarmed. But yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. Our first topic we're gonna talk about today is just what we've been doing hobby wise past week, couple weeks maybe. And yeah, so Zen, what have you been up to, man?
So I have been focusing very heavily on getting my Night Lords Dread Talon detachment on the table. I've been playing it in TTS, and I absolutely love the army. I love the aesthetics of them, and I love the detachment. I think they did a fantastic job writing it. It's very flavorful and it's fun. I didn't think Battle Shock was going to be as good as it was. It doesn't really change the game up too much, but when it does proc, it seems to be impactful almost every time. So I've been focusing on that. Over the past 2 weeks, I got my second group of 5 Raptors base coated. I have a Predator Destructor completely finished now. And then, yeah, in preparation for our tournament upcoming that we're going to on July 6th.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers, everybody.
I am, for my Imperial Fist army, which I'm running the Ironstorm detachment with, I have 3 Inceptors and 2 Tech Marines fully base coated. Last night I finished an entire Tech Marine in an hour and a half. I just flew through it. And then right before this podcast started, I got all 5 of those Raptors completely based. So that's cork, the texture paint, the sand desert texture paint. That's all painted and dry brush. The cork rocks are painted and washed. And then all 5 of the Raptors have little pins in their feet. And they've been glued in place, and while they're not painted, they are based. So yeah.
All right, so you have been moving.
Yeah, I've been schmoovin'. I don't know what happened in the past,
even. Yeah.
I don't know what happened in the past 6 months or so. I just unlocked something where I'm just painting super fast.
That's great though. You get your color schemes down, right? And you get things figured out, and you just once you know what you're doing and you don't have to make those decisions, I guess it starts to go a lot faster.
Yeah, and especially an army like this where I'm painting with a dark color as opposed to a yellow. Doing any sort of cleanup work. Yeah.
Awful.
Doing any sort of cleanup work is a breeze. It's an absolute breeze.
That's awesome. That's really cool, man. You've been doing a ton.
Yep.
And I'm really excited to see the Night Lords and your full 2,000 point competitive Imperial Fist army.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get Imperial Fist on a
really
board
cool
in a tournament. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what have you been up to?
Yeah, I have, well, let's see, this past week, I actually bought a bunch of new, paint shelves, paint holding shelves.
Oh, okay, I did see those on the floor in that room.
Yeah, the old ones are actually the ones on the floor. I'm actually going to be selling those, but,
okay.
Those are the old ones I took out. I just have them set to the side. I'm a not very organized person until I sit down and actually organize. So
gotcha. Yeah.
Still in process, but yeah, I got new paint shelves. Finally got my Monument paints, their latest paints, and I have not even painted an entire mini since I did that last week.
Whoa.
Which sounds, I don't know, shameful for me.
Right. Yeah.
But I have been assembling a lot of minis. I've assembled a lot of Leagues of Votann with Hernkin Pioneers, is what they're called.
Yep, the trikes.
Yeah, the big wheels is what they remind me of. But
yep.
Yeah, so I've been assembling those, and yeah, I've just done a little bit of test painting on some minis and everything. So that's pretty much been my week of hobbying. I assembled some Space Marines, I guess. Also prepping for a tournament.
Yeah,
a couple Marines assembled.
Didn't you base coat them as well, a bunch of infiltrators and things like that? Yeah.
Yep. Got some stuff base coat, so things are ready to be painted. Which was that the base coat's whole other thing because I had to fix the problem in my airbrush where it was bubbling up in the cup.
Oh.
and I thought it was gonna be like I thought I was gonna look up the solution, and all the answers were like your airbrush is broken, you have to buy a new airbrush.
No, you
What
got a
did you
clog.
do, you idiot?
You got a clog in there, right?
What? No, it was it didn't seal, so the nozzle wasn't sealing all the way
Okay.
when you like screw it in over the needle and everything.
Okay.
So the solution to that was buying some it's called airbrush sealant, but I'm pretty sure it's just beeswax.
Right. Yep.
It's just wax. And so I took a toothpick. I've seen people melt it down and they melt it into the threads, but I just took a toothpick and I like smeared it in the threads and screwed it on. Perfect. Worked like a dream.
Oh,
So
okay. Hell yeah.
that's all it was. So I'm really excited about that. So I was excited. I don't know. I spent an hour and a half on my airbrush the other day. Yeah, just
Ooh.
base coating things. I was working on some movement trays for my old world army and all that. So yeah, I guess I'm doing quite a bit. Just doesn't seem like I'm doing a lot to myself.
Right. Yeah,
because,
but you are getting pulled in like different directions though, right? Like you're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, you're not like hyper focused on one thing.
Right. Which is unusual. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my week of hobbying. Have you been doing any gaming? What kind of gaming you been getting into with in the miniature world? Is the context of this?
Yeah. So I played a game of TTS recently. Did I bring my? Yeah, it was my Imperial Fist collection. So that is a Redemptor Dreadnought heavy list. It's basically the bulk of the list is 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, 3 Tech Marines, Gladiator Lancer, and a Vindicator. They're supported by 2 5-man squads of infiltrators, 2 5-man squads of intercessors, and then a group of heavies and Tor Garadon on the back line. That list is what I'm going to be bringing. Oh, and Inceptors and Suppressors. I always forget about them. My jump pack boys. But
it's such a brutal list.
It is. The Redemptors do most of the heavy lifting. Like time and time again, they're the ones that are like putting in the work. The Gladiator Lancer just has the range. The Vindicator is just anti-chaff for days. Like what do you call it? A casino cannon? Is that a term?
Yeah, the casino cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen it time and time again. Like it will roll hot, and when it rolls hot, goodbye group of cultists. Goodbye, sometimes even a 5-man Space Marine equivalent. Like 5-man intercessor squad equivalent will just get wiped. But yeah, I played against a good buddy, Cho. We played a 2,000-point game of. He brought his Thousand Sons list, which had Magnus in it, had Armon, it had 3 groups of rubrics. What else did he have in that list? That was a Mutilith Vortex Beast, a very generic like Thousand Sons list that he's been tweaking, adding things to, removing things to, moving around some enhancements, trying things out. He played very cagey the first 2 rounds. I was able to move up pretty rapidly, which was bizarre for me playing Imperial Fist and trying to be like a lore centric player when it comes to Imperial Fist, where I'm trying to be like a gunline.
Not getting stuffed in a corner this time.
No, I'm doing the stuffing now.
Nice.
It's how it's kind of coming out to be. One of the enhancements that you give a Tech Marine in the Ironstorm detachment gives him a 6-inch aura for vehicles that if they advance, they could still shoot that same round.
That's so good.
Yep. So he runs alongside a Gladiator and at least 1 Dreadnought, and I push up one side of the board fairly heavy with that. It seems it's worked out every game I've played. That usually gets to the halfway mark or past it, depending upon the deployment itself. But I get pretty far up the board every time, and then once I do, it seems to be like it's pretty much that's where they're sitting for the rest of the game. They're just going to make normal movements from there on out, but it gives me the flexibility to advance and shoot if I need to. But yeah, I was able to get mostly into his deployment zone. It was the mission where you have to burn the objective markers. The primary mission.
Is it Scorched Earth or something like that?
Scorched Earth or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And turn 1, I started burning the 2 outer objectives. Left the one in the middle alone.
Jeez,
he was
ruthless, dude.
Yeah, he was unable to shift the things I had. And because of that, I was able to burn both objectives off by turn 2. which scored me 10 points, but also denied him any points. So we just fought over the middle pretty much for the rest of the game, and he was just unable to come back. It was a close game, though, even with secondaries. I think I ended up winning. I think it was something like 65-61 is how we kind of like math hammered it out and just rolled for the things that would really matter. Oh, you need an advance here to make it for this objective. Would you make it? Okay, you would, so you would score this many.
Okay. Yeah.
I would do this. Would you come up and fight? Yeah, I would. Okay, let's do this actual combat and see if you could kill me. No, you can't. Okay, so I would control it, etc., etc. That's kind of how we played the rest of the game out. The thing that actually won it for me, the swing was behind enemy lines. I had a group of infiltrators that were all the way in his deployment in the corner, and I drew that card, and my Inceptors were still in deep strike. I just dropped them in. Dropped them in a corner,
so good.
and then boom, I got it. So because I had 2 units in his deployment zone, 5 VP, pretty much wrapped it up. Yeah, but it was a good game. He's getting way better at the game. He's getting a lot. He's fine tuning his list as he goes. He's new to 10th edition. He hasn't played, I think, since maybe 5th or even earlier than that. But yeah, that's what I did this week as far as like gaming. Have you played any games in the past week or two?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of stuff.
Mm.
So I won't go into as much depth because
Sorry.
the games aren't quite. No, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, when you play one game a week, like
yeah,
the game is like super exciting. But I've been playing Middle Earth. Locally, we have a Battle Companies League going on. So if anybody's familiar with Middle Earth Battle Companies, I really enjoy that system. And I have my little dwarf company, my Moria Expedition, is doing serious work as far as winning games and like killing people and leveling up, but all of my leaders keep getting arm wounds.
Oh.
So I have 3 heroes in my company, including the 2 people in charge. My actual leader died outright early on in the campaign, and I named the company after him, and now it's just like in memoriam basically. But
right.
The other 2 leaders that started my company, the 2 like sergeants is what they are. They both got arm wounds. One of them was like an archer, so he can't use his bow.
Oh.
And all of his upgrades when he levels up focuses around his shooting.
Oh.
So he can't even use a bow, but he's still there killing people. He hasn't died since, hasn't been knocked out of a game to like heal himself, basically. It's kind of a weird way they do it. But
yeah, okay.
And the other guy's a 2-handed axe wielder. And he's practically got 1 arm right now, so he can't use that either.
Oh my goodness.
And then I had another guy who just this past week we were playing really good, but this guy got wounded in battle, and he also got an arm wound, and he was a new hero, and he was like an axe and shield user, so he's stuck without his shield now. So
brutal, man, just absolutely brutal.
Yeah, they're taking the weirdest wounds. It's fun though, like that's the fun about that whole system. I've never had like such poor luck playing battle companies with like people being wounded, but it's hilarious. It's great to like play scrappy and be able to like, I don't know, have like a bit of a story to the game,
Yeah. Now, is there any sort of like map, like an overarching map where where your engagements take place and you would control territory? Is it kind of like a 40K Crusade style map? Like, how does the actual overarching stories, how is that told?
Yeah, so there are a couple ways you can do a campaign in Battle Companies. There actually is a map campaign that I have never played, but people get really serious about the map campaigns, where you take territory and it's just your battle company of like, 5 or 6 dudes to start, and it's kind of funny when you're fighting over like Minas Tirith with like 6 dudes.
Right.
But we are doing one. They have a narrative campaign in the book, and it has a whole story about rumors of a drake, like a dragon in the Blue Mountains, and so the battle companies are racing to get there to like kill the dragon and to get the treasure before the other ones do.
Oh, okay.
So everybody starts in Bree, which is like the prancing pony and all that. If you remember, Lord of the Rings. I know.
Yeah,
you haven't seen them. Okay. You start in Bree, and the whole first mission is you against a bunch of just like random dudes, like you got in an argument in a bar in like the prancing pony, and you're all drunk, and you're trying to leave the town, and they're trying to stop you, and like that's the opening scenario. And then you play like narrative missions. You then you kind of play against the other companies, and you play a couple matches, like 3 or 4 rounds, and you do the next narrative mission. So like the story advances. So
Okay, yeah, that's cool then. That's cool. So is anybody playing as like the forces of Saruman, or is that like is that player controlled? Is that like is there kind of like a DM system involved?
yeah, so the campaign on the surface is intended for like good side, but they do have rules if you're playing evil. So it's kind of weird for like a group of orcs to hang out at the Prancing Pony,
Right.
but they just kind of like wave it off, like whatever, you were in disguise or something. But yeah, you can play
Okay.
as we have one guy playing orcs. It's just 4 of us in this campaign, so I'm playing my Moria expedition, like my dwarves, and we have a guy playing Mordor, like straight up Mordor orcs. We have another guy playing Lothlorien, so he's playing as like wood elves.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the fourth gentleman is playing it's Erebor and Dale together. So uh, for those Tolkien aficionados or people that have seen The Hobbit, Erebor and Dale are cities like pretty much right next to each other. It's Erebor's with their dwarves, Dale are humans, and so they kind of like fight alongside each other a lot. Um, so yeah, you kind of it's like a combined human and dwarf company, which is
That's
cool.
cool.
So we have 3 good and evil, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. We've been doing that. I've been doing that every week. It's been really enjoyable just to go and hang out for an hour and a half, play 2 games, see what kind of random nonsense my company gets into, and then go home early night because it's a bunch of old guys. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's pretty much what it is. Otherwise, I played a game of Horus Heresy, which is fun. A couple weeks ago, that was good. Playing against somebody's Solar Auxilia with my Thousand Suns, so that
Nice.
was fun. But yeah, which is a good segue
A great segue.
into what we're going to talk about this evening, the real like subject of the podcast, which is our game, Zendro and I's game,
Yes.
of the Horus Heresy, or
Yep.
Age of Darkness, or 30K, or whatever you call it now,
Yep.
2.0. Um,
The 2.0 is very important.
yeah, the 2.0 is important, yeah, because 1.0 was different. But so for those of you who have been around and maybe came and hung out back in April in the Twitch stream, I had a goal that I may or may not have told Zendro about beforehand.
You
Which
told me the night before.
did I?
I
Okay,
think you
okay, sweet.
I think you DM'd me the night before, and you were like, "Hey, I'm coming up with goals for the 24-hour stream. Can I just include one where we play a game of 30K?" And I was like, "Geez, like you've been begging me to play this game forever. You keep dropping
really
hints.
have. I really have.
You keep
There's
dropping
no
hints.
hints, man. You want me to 3D print you an army? I 3D print you 30K minis. Like that's
Yeah.
that's
It's
what's
like yeah,
happening.
it's real subtle. It's real subtle. Well,
Yeah,
my whole
yeah.
Night Lords army is technically 30K minis. It's great.
So, needless to say, that goal was reached very quickly because everybody wants to see Zendral suffer or play 30K. I mean,
Yeah, most likely the former. Yeah.
yeah. So we played our game of 30K, and at the time of this podcast releasing, it should be up on YouTube, and you can actually watch that game. It should be a pretty quick battle report. I don't do like lengthy battle reports, at least at this point. Kind of break down at the end of the turn, what's going on. You guys can kind of see how the battle went by the end of it. But today we're going to talk about Zen's thoughts on Horus Heresy. We're going to talk about our game, maybe discuss a little bit more of like our thinking in the game and our armies and our thoughts going into it. I know Zendral, I don't think he had like a ton of like tactical thinking in his list because he kind of just used what we had.
Right.
But yeah, and then I'm going to be asking Zen here after all of this, kind of his thoughts and the things he liked and maybe didn't like so much, with the differences between 30K and 40K. So kind of his thoughts, because I'm really curious about this because the rule set for 30K is what I grew up playing in Warhammer 40K. So for me, it's just a huge nostalgia bomb, like to play this game every time. And Zen, you got into the game into 40K at ninth edition.
Yeah, I started I started like watching lore videos at the beginning of ninth, and around the middle of ninth, I was like, God, these minis are so expensive. I'll never play this game. And then by the end of ninth, I had like 1,500 points of Imperial Fist painted. I'm currently sitting at almost 3,600 points of Imperial Fist painted and like over 1,000 points of Night Lords. Yeah, I got into the game itself. I want to say right around the middle of ninth, end of ninth.
Okay, yeah. So this whole Horus Heresy game is completely alien to you.
Yeah, yeah. None of it makes sense. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was bizarre.
and you'll see that in the YouTube video where he describes things that happen, and like, nothing against you at all. Like, it's
Right,
a
yeah.
word that you heard one time, and he just like things that are, like sweeping advance and challenges, and
Sure.
broken leadership, like units fleeing, toward the board edge, or little things like that are just, uh, for me, it's like basic in the game. It's like ingrained in me. But yeah, yeah, I totally get it. So I'll be really curious to hear, um really your thoughts on all of this. But
Sure.
yeah, let's talk about our armies. um let's just give a little breakdown of our armies, maybe a little bit of like why, like what did I do. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I don't think we didn't go like competitive. This wasn't a like counter list to anybody. It was just, just to give people an idea. Let's talk about what we did, and then we'll talk about the mission after we talk about our lists.
Yeah, sounds good.
So what did you take?
So I was kind of restricted by what minis I had painted, or what minis I even owned that were Night Lords to begin with. And I took pretty much every single painted Night Lord I had, save for Obliterators, because there's not really like a good proxy in 30k for what an Obliterator is in 40k. Um, so my list, I have it pulled up here. I took Sevatar, which is a Night Lord specific character. I gave him a retinue of Contector Terminators, and they all rode around in a Land Raider Proteus, which was kindly supplied by you, unpainted.
Yes.
I took a Champion Centurion, which was one of my Chaos Lords. I took a Chaplain Centurion, which was my Master of Execution. I took a Contemptor Dreadnought Talon, which was my Hellbrute. I took a 5-man Raptor squad, which were just Raptors. And I took a tactical squad, a 10-man Legionary tactical squad, which were my actual Legionaries from 40k. They were they in a Rhino? And where did I get that Rhino from? Because I don't remember
They
now.
weren't a rhino. It was your Imperial Fist Rhino.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yep.
Yep.
And then finally, I got to take my Xiphon Interceptor into battle, a mini that I had asked you to print for me just because I really like the way it looks. It is such a cool silhouette. The angles on it, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous mini. But yeah, I was able to finally take it into battle. And I took a single Predator. Gave everybody Prey Sight, and then just to kind of fill out the list and get to that 2,000 points, I gave everybody a ton of upgrades, which most likely forgot about the vast majority of them while playing. But yeah.
We probably did. Yep.
A little bit of a smaller list. A total of like 15 infantry units, 5 Raptors, and 10 Legionnaires. Not really like armor heavy, not really infantry heavy, kind of in the middle, feeling out the game, seeing what's good, seeing what's bad. And like we said, also limited to what I have on hand. But yeah, I feel like it was an okay list. Going forward, if I do continue playing 30k, I would know what to tweak. Definitely bringing more Raptors. But yeah, that was my list. What did you end up bringing?
Yeah. And just to clarify, your army was legal in the Force organization because you took a right of war.
Yep.
Which is the Terror Assault.
Hold on.
Mistaken.
Yeah, Terror Assault. Yep.
Yeah, so you got to choose Night Fight, which is a wildly powerful ability, especially for Night Lords.
Yeah.
And it stayed Night Fight, I think, through the first 3 turns of the game, right? Like.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Because there's only 4 rounds. Yeah, and 4th it automatically went to daytime. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the 4th it went to daytime. Yeah. So yeah, it was really good. But yeah, so then your Raptors were troop choices. They got to be the compulsory troops. So he had his 2 troops in his HQ, and everything. I was bringing my 1,000 Suns, and I had, let's see, my Warlord was a Praetor. My 1,000 Suns stuff gets ridiculous because everybody gets extra rules. Um, let's see, he rolled his warlord trait was Magister Prosper. He rolled extra dice for psychic check, discard the highest. He had a Paragon blade, which was cool. I had a Centurion that was a chaplain, also who rode around with the Praetor. Both of those were psychers. I gave the Praetor Biomancy, and the chaplain, I don't even remember. Did I even use? I don't think I got to use the psychic power on him.
No.
So.
Oh no, he had like a buff psychic power, didn't he?
That was the Praetor.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, no,
Praetor.
no,
It was the Biomancy. Yeah. So, yeah, Battlescribe has been weird where they don't let you. There's a bug where they don't let you choose the psychic disciplines for the Centurion. So I never like actually selected one in Battlescribe. I just saved the 15 points in my list to be like, yeah, I'm going to give him one. I took 2 Castellax Achaea automatons. So they're the robots, the psychically charged robots, which did nothing, right?
Yeah, they killed some of your own guys, but that's about it.
They killed one of my own dudes. I think the entire game. I got him stuck. I got traffic jam. I played, not great. I took a Contemptor Osiren Dreadnought, which is a psychic dreadnought, which is cool. Thousand Suns get that in 30k. He was a pyromancer. His pyromancy ability, I had one opportunity to use it, and he failed his psychic check, so he hurt himself instead of throwing fireballs, which was lame. I took 9 Despoilers, which are just assault marines without the jump packs, and they ended up going in a Land Raider, a Spartan assault tank, which is the big Land Raider, and they were joined by the Praetor and the Chaplain. I took a reconnaissance squad with Nemesis bolt rifles, or the sniper rifles. I had 2 tactical squads, just 10 guys, basic, and I had a tactical support squad with rotor cannons, which are kind of like miniguns, in a Rhino. And then, last but not least, I had a Skyhunter squadron. So 3 jet bikes, and they all had Volkite Culverins. So took some chum guns on them.
Keyword being had.
Yeah, they got wrecked. So that was my army. It was 2,000 points. And I did mention the Land Raider Spartan, so that was 400 of it. So yeah, that was my Thousand Suns army. The mission we played in the Siege of Cathonia book, and we decided that because it was only 4 turns. The missions are. We figured it'd be a little easier to film, a little quicker. We were kind of on a limited time frame, so.
And you're teaching me while we're playing.
Yeah, and I was kind of having to teach and play a game that I've played maybe like 7 games of. So,
yeah.
So we did roll up our missions. We got the classic Dawn of War deployment, which is the 12 inches onto the long board edge, and that's your deployment. And our mission was one that was called Strike and Fade, which was I've played this one before. It's pretty nutty when you're playing like a full game, and I played it against Alpha Legion before, which is just not fair. But they're basically one objective in the middle of the board, and on your turn you can capture it by the end of your turn by getting a unit on it and having no contesting enemies on the objective. If you capture it, you get the victory points equal to the round number, so anywhere between 1 and 4 points. But after you capture it, the objective moves a random direction, d6 plus 6 inches, which for us it went back and forth 12 inches. Like that's what it did.
Yeah.
It ended up back in the middle of the board. It was really funny.
Yeah.
But it has a chance to go crazy, to like really help you, to hurt you, but it's all random. But yeah, that was our mission, Strike and Fade on Dawn of War deployment. Definitely a different experience, I think, than any of the 40k missions. So, and we did play on a full 6x4 board. So we had a lot of real estate to play the game. So getting into the game, what were kind of your thoughts, Zen, on like, I don't know, like did you have a mindset of like I'm like gonna play to win here, or were you just like yeah. Let me know. What were you thinking?
So like I approached this game like I approached you'd also taught me how to play Star Wars Armada. I'm approaching it from a place of I don't know what the hell is going on. and I'm here to learn, and I'm a little bit more equipped to handle Horus Heresy than I was Armada, because Armada is a completely different game altogether.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit more cognizant of, okay, when I deploy, like, games are lost or won and lost in the deployment phase. So I was a little bit more aware of where I'm placing things. I was trying to figure out how terrain works, which is totally different than 40k. Um, Movement was much different than 40k. So I approached it with the mindset of, okay, I'm here to learn, and I'm here to just examine each unit and see if they're worth their weight in points. Are they worth bringing in the future? Right, and I've done that in 40k. I've tweaked my list in 40k. It's kind of why I have like 3,600 points of Imperial Fist, is because I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's what everybody does.
Yeah. So yeah, I 100% approach this as like just a learning experience more than anything. I didn't expect to win, because once I had seen the army you had mustered, I was like, oh okay, I messed up a little bit here. I probably should have brought more Imperial Fist proxies and just dealt with it, and went more troop heavy than upgrade heavy, which was just a mistake I made. I was just on Battle Scribe, just like, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, I'll upgrade. I'll throw chain bayonets on these guys. Yeah. Everybody needs prey sight. Everybody gets prey sight.
Yeah, when your legionnaires have chain bayonets and chain swords,
yeah, that was a waste of points.
You're probably like over upgrading. Yeah, but again, like you've never played before, so it's something completely new. And you didn't even know the rules when you made the list. Like I think I was on stream, and we were just talking about it, and you're like, oh yeah, should I take this or this? And like,
yep.
And we were just going through what minis you have and if you could get the points to play. So
yep. Yeah, so like that's what we were kind of like discussing while you were streaming, and I didn't want to be too take up too much of your time while you're streaming, because I got people in there talking to you about like, hey, how do I paint this, or what's the red on your what red do you use?
Every time. So yeah, that's understandable. Like troops are really important, and you kind of learn that with even with just one objective on the board. Like your units die quick. Even though your legionary squad did serious work before they left. So
yeah.
On just an Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having numbers, you can't over upgrade. It's kind of like something you have to keep in mind.
Yep.
When you're used to playing 40k, when there are no upgrades
anymore,
you just pick the things, right? Like it makes it a different experience when you have all the options.
Yep.
So yeah, well, through the game, so my list was very much like I wanted to pick. I think I asked you if there was something you wanted to see on the board, and you said you wanted the fireball throwing dreadnought, right?
Yeah. You talked about it a lot. How it throws down like the dinner plate, and it just stays there, and it's just a flaming tornado. Yeah, I wanted to see that in action.
And then it just failed. Like you never got to see my awesome templates and everything. It just completely failed. I was trying to find things that were like cool that I could take. I didn't want to take any like really mean things.
Right, yeah.
Like the Spartan is pretty nasty because it's so durable and it can hold like 26 dudes in it. But at the end of the day, like it doesn't do a ton as far as damage. It just takes hits. Dreadnoughts are always brutal, which I think we you realized by the end of the game how nasty dreadnoughts can be.
Yeah.
But we both took a dreadnought, so I didn't feel like that was too much. I didn't want to take any Terminators. I didn't take the telepathy psychic discipline, which that psychic discipline is by far the most powerful. Where you just pick a unit and they just can't do reactions for that phase.
Ooh.
Or their shooting attack, it's this crazy. It's 6 shots. Every hit that you get hits on a 2+ on a character. They hit on 2s. They're ballistic skill 5. Every hit you get out of these 6 shots, the unit you shoot, they have to take a pinning check.
Oh.
So they take a leadership check, but each of those hits are added to their roll, like the number of hits that you roll. So
okay,
it's this weird way it gets right. You remember the stubborn rule on the chaplain?
Yeah.
You can't subtract their leadership, right? This doesn't subtract leadership; it adds to the roll, so it gets around that rule.
Oh, okay.
So you'll roll a leadership check, but you'll be at like +5 or +6 on your die roll.
Right, which is brutal.
So you just have these stupid units that are leadership 10. They're like, yeah, I'm stubborn. I can't be pinned. Like, think again, dude. Roll under a 4 and see if you can do it. And Yeah, so that discipline's like really dirty and kind of feels bad when like you just take away players' agency, you know. So,
Right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
um, but yeah, I wanted fun stuff. I ended up like I always end up with really troop heavy armies in this game because I have a ton of troops painted. So, uh,
And that seems to be the move anyway, given that you have to fight over an objective, and objectives can only be captured by by troops.
line, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not even just troops. It has to be specifically line units,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
which is yeah. A lot of troops are just support, and so they don't even trigger that. Yeah. So we went into this game. You won strategic advantage.
Yep.
Yeah, so you got first turn. So regardless, you got to choose if it's going to be night fighting or not.
Right.
The difference was here. The advantage you got here was you got night fighting for a full extra turn before we had to start rolling for it. Typically, you start rolling on turn 2. You got to keep it all the way through turn 2, and then we start rolling on turn 3. Um, so yeah, it worked out well. All your dudes have night vision, so they just ignore everything with
Yep.
involving night fight, which is really strong. My whole army's at -1 leadership. I can only see things 24 inches. I'm -1 to hit. A lot of stuff. But your opening turn, yeah, I don't know. Real quick, we'll go through our turns real quick. It's only 4 turns, so
Sure. Yeah.
how did that work out?
I think my opening turn, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't think much of anything happened. I think I just kind of moved everything up, took some pot shots at things. I think I ended up getting. Did I end up getting like 3 of your snipers in a single shot from something, or?
You ended up killing 4 of them, but your dreadnought killed 3 of them on its own, right?
Right. Correct.
With
Yeah.
like a
Yeah. I
heavy
shot my
bolter or
predator.
something.
Yeah. I shot my predator up there, and it only it splattered one guy real good. And then my dreadnought with his what was a Gravis bolt cannon, I believe, is what I had him
Yeah.
equipped with.
Yep.
Yep, he ended up getting 3 of them in a single shot, which was great. So that took out 4 out of the 5 sniper units up on your little bastion up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a pretty boring turn. Nothing really of consequence happened.
Yeah, and then I took my turn back, and was it my first turn? I blew up the predator, right?
Yeah, because you got a point for that for like opening move or opening salvo or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually the Spartan that did it, wasn't it? With his
Yep, with the last
5 twin linked las cannons. Okay, I was just
Yeah.
talking about the Spartan doesn't do anything, and then it kills the tank.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
turn,
I wasn't gonna say anything. You'd remember eventually.
Okay, yeah, I did. Okay, I take my statement back. It's a 400-point vehicle. All right, if it can kill 100-point tank, that's all right. But yeah, I did that. Otherwise, I had stuff out of range. Being night fight, like I wasn't able to do much. I just tried to shift my army forward, and then turn 2, I feel like is where all hell broke loose. If I'm not mistaken. So how did that go? How was your turn 2?
Turn 2 is when I think I got my legionnaires out of the Rhino. They moved up to the middle to take that objective because you had moved up, but we were just outside of range of the objective.
That's right. It was. Yep.
I think I laid into your. Oh, I'm trying to think. I think I laid into a group of legionnaires that were right there, and did enough to them where they had to take a leadership check, which they failed, so they started to run towards the board edge, if I remember correctly.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they just outright failed. They almost made it off the board too. I rolled an 11 on 2d6,
Yes.
but they were like 2 inches from the board.
Yeah.
So it was a little sketchy there for a minute for those legionnaires.
And then I punted the objective at the end of my turn. I scored 2 victory points, so I think we were at like 1-2. I kicked it back towards me. And yeah, that ended up like I think that was my turn too. I didn't really do a whole lot. I tried. I think I tried.
Your Raptors came in.
My Raptors came in, but my Xiphon did not. It didn't make it in that turn. But
Yeah.
the Raptors dropped in. The Raptors and the Chaplain, which had the he had an
The twin
upgrade.
lightning claws, right?
Twin lightning claws, and he had
Yeah.
the Warhawk jump pack enhancement, and I think him alone jumped on the bikes and just killed all 3 in one shot.
He did. Well, almost all of your dudes died from Overwatch
Yes.
because he charged jet bikes with Volkite.
Yeah, but he survived and
Yeah.
just slaughtered them all. Like
He did.
yeah.
Yeah. He trashed those jet bikes. So, yeah. So that was a Yeah, that was a crazy turn. I did not expect just to lose my jet bikes there, but that the chaplain did work. Like he hit like 6 times out of 6 attacks,
Yep.
and then I think he wounded 5 or 6 times, and it just ignored all their armor. So, uh, my turn two was a pretty decent hit back, if I'm not mistaken. I That was when I disembarked from the Spartan, right? Uh,
Yes. No, I think it was turn 3 you disembarked.
was that turn three?
Because you were stuck in traffic jams for a
That's
while
right.
on
That's
your right
right.
side of the board. Yeah.
Yeah. So I jumped out. No, turn two. I moved my dreadnought up and tried to charge your dreadnought. I shot it. I think I did a wound with shooting, and then I failed my charge into it.
Yep.
So I was kind of stuck right in your charge range. Um, yeah, was there a lot else that I did? Did I kill? I killed the last of the raptors, though, right?
I think you rallied. And then didn't you have a squad of guys with like autocannons?
Yeah, yeah, my support squad with the
Yep.
the rotor cannons.
Yep, they came up and killed the Raptors down to the last man, leaving the chaplain by himself.
Okay, yep, that's what it was. Man, okay, I thought I remembered this game better. It was like 3 days ago,
Yeah, it was,
but
wasn't it?
yeah, um, yeah, and that was my second turn. I think I was just I feel like I got the objective on the second turn.
I think
I
you did
did.
too.
I
Yeah.
I did disembark. I disembark and I killed your marines on the second turn.
Right. I feel like I overwatched something though. Didn't I
Yeah, you
overwatch?
you yeah, you overwatched the despoilers that disembarked, and you
Yeah.
killed 6 of them on the overwatch, six of the
Right.
10.
Right.
And then I charged in and kind of trashed the rest of the squad.
Right.
Uh, yeah, which my praetor still took a wound, I think, in a challenge. He was challenged by your legion champion
Yep.
and
Yep.
took a wound and thankfully survived. But yeah, he finished off the champion then, and yeah, and that was my turn. I captured the objective, and the objective went back to the center, right?
Yep. Back
Yeah,
back to right where it started.
yeah, right back to the center, 12 inches, and then yeah, then it went back to your turn.
Yep. So at the bottom of turn 2, you were winning 3-2, and
That's right.
then
Yep.
in my turn 3, the Xiphon finally came on. And then my Sevatar and the Contectar got out of the Land Raider. They hop out and I think they shot into the group that you were just talking about, the despoilers and the your praetor and whoever else was in there, your
They
chaplain.
did. Yeah, it was turn three. Yeah.
They shot into them. I think it was very ineffective. I don't think they did anything really.
No, they killed. You ended up killing everybody with shooting, right?
No, Sevatar ran up and just completely mauled you in combat.
Okay. Which one was it? The chaplain that he mauled? I think it was the chaplain at the end, right?
Yeah, I
Or
think so.
no?
It was your warlord, wasn't it? Because that gave me another
Okay.
victory
Okay.
point.
Must have been the praetor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I
Ju-
shot the chaplain and the 4 remaining guys, and then finished off. I issued a challenge.
Be
And
cool. And Sevatar's a monster in challenges too. So
absolute beast. Yeah, he's got Knight's Whisper is his weapon, which let me look at it. Yeah, it's a
big,
strength +2, AP2, duelist edge with murderous strike, and I'm pretty sure I rolled a couple 6s on my strike on my wound roll.
yeah. You killed that dude super dead.
Yeah. And that gave me another victory point. I was out of line at this point. So the only other option I had really, which we talked about was as we talked about it in the game, was for me to kill your warlord, which I ended up doing. So I tied it up 3-3. Pretty much ineffective everywhere else on the board. I know my oh, that's right, turn 3, my chaplain charged your rotary cannon, guys.
That was turn 4. Turn 3, I think you charged the tacticals that were left.
I think you're right, and I shrugged off every single wound and
Yep.
then murdered them.
Yes.
And you had to take a leadership test, or what is it called? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you won the combat. I had like 2 guys left.
Mm-hmm.
You caused like 6 wounds or 5 wounds or something. I didn't cause any. So I took my break check, or my morale check for losing combat, and then we did our sweeping advance check, is what that's called, and you definitely swept my unit.
Yeah, and then like
easily.
the last two guys as they were running away, he got him in the back with the power claws.
Yeah,
and then it was turn 4 when he charged the rotary cannons and finally got gunned down.
Yeah, he got firing lined. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, so yeah, like my turn 3, that chaplain was just standing there in the middle of my back line, and I had rotor cannons there, and
right.
the rotor cannon shot at him, and he didn't die.
Yeah, I made all my saving throws, I think.
Yeah, made all your 2-up saves, yeah.
Yep.
And then I shot at him with the Castellex with their plasma cannons.
Right.
And they both scattered like 8 or more inches. It was wild how bad they scattered.
You ended up like hitting one of your Legionnaire groups and killing a guy.
Yeah, just straight up killed one of my rotor cannons with a plasma cannon.
Yep.
But yeah, turn 3, I mean, I blew up your dreadnought.
In melee. We had a little bit of a whiff fest, I think, at turn 2, or at the top of turn 3, I charged you. Yeah. We plinked a wound off of each other, and then at the bottom of turn 3, you killed me, and I was unable to kill you. I think I had you down to 1 wound left.
Yep, I got super lucky with that. Like, I think I caused, with Brutal, I think it ended up being 6 wounds, and then you failed 5 saves.
Yep, it was down to the wound, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, we did that, and then turn 3, yeah, I was just trying to, like, finish off units, try to kill that chaplain, I couldn't, try to kill a Land Raider, and I couldn't, I tried to kill, I killed that Dreadnought at some point, but tried to kill Savitar's unit, and I couldn't, so I was kind of at your mercy going into turn 4, even though I think I had the upper hand points-wise.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and then going into your turn 4.
Yeah, we pretty much knew it was a wrap by then, because I think you could have captured the middle. No.
The idea was one of the secondaries was whoever has the most units alive and not fleeing or falling back at the end of the battle. And I started with a lot more units than you.
Right. And I think we got it down to, I think it was like 7-5. Like you had 7 units left and I had 5 technically.
Yeah.
And my Xiphon made a play at your Rhino that was sitting there, and I did wreck it.
Yep.
So that brought it down to 6-5, but then all of my other shooting was wildly ineffective, and that 1 wound left on your Dreadnought was what lost me the game. I was unable to plink that last wound off of him to take him out.
Everything.
Yep.
Everything. It just wouldn't.
Could not take him out.
Shooting with the Terminators, Sevitar, everybody charging in, just couldn't kill him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I think we called it in the middle of turn 4 because there was no sense in continuing playing.
Yeah, I had nothing to do. I could stood still and won. So
yep, you ended up winning the game 4-3.
Yep. So close game, all things considered.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we were playing I don't think we were either of us have been super upset or super pumped if we won or lost. Like it was just kind of learning game and just having fun, putting minis on the table and everything. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time your actual Night Lords have seen the table. Yes,
it was, which I was so happy to finally get them on the table, see them on the tabletop, see them getting into combat, see them doing things.
Yeah. Cool.
It also made me realize my Raptors need a little bit more lightning bolts on them because they are very blue. They don't have a lot of the lightning on them, so it was cool to see them on a table to be okay, those guys need to touch up a little bit.
Yeah, you can see it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was great. So I want to ask, as someone who has only played 40K, 9th and 10th edition, I want to hear some opinions on the differences between these two games and kind of the things that you really like, or the things that you liked, you had a positive experience with the differences, and the things that maybe weren't so positive that you didn't enjoy so much.
Yeah, so sure.
Let's start with the positive differences from 40K.
Okay, so I like, this is going to sound really weird. I like imagining what's going on as I'm playing, right? These guys are shooting. I like to imagine, they're actually shooting and stuff like that. It's a little weird, but it's just something I do. It's why I'm so into the lore. It's why my Imperial Fists are very particular. They're 7th, company, which are the reserves on the Phalanx, and their bases have to look like spaceship interior. I'm all about the lore.
Hold on. 1 second, I interrupt you.
Sure.
You like to imagine your unit shooting, but the chapter that you play for Imperial Fist, they sit on the phalanx
Yeah.
and probably never shoot their guns.
No. When they come in, they like save the day every time. Like it's
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Like that's why I like.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I figured. But yeah, I really liked this game for that, because this game adds that level of realism that you lose in 40K. So a couple things that come to mind immediately are the sponson weapons on a vehicle have like firing arcs, whereas if I'm playing 40K and I have 2 millimeters of a rear tank thread sticking out behind a corner of a building,
Oh,
I could
man,
shoot
yeah.
all of my guns.
Yeah.
And I like you see it all the time in like top level play with like people who play Thousand Sons in particular. The Mutalith Vortex Beast has like a claw that's outreaching in front of him, and if
Or
his
Magnus's wings.
exactly, yeah, if they're sticking out, then they're able to shoot and do all their shenanigans. With this game, where you have to position your vehicles in a certain way, you have to be in that firing arc. It adds such a nice level of realism to it. Same thing when it comes to transports, where your transports, like where their exit and entry points are located, matter. Instead of just being a 3-inch bubble around a rhino, they could only get out the side doors or the back door. Same thing with a Land Raider. They could only get out the side doors or the front. Adding that level of quote-unquote realism to the game makes it way more enjoyable to play than 40K. I really love that aspect of playing the game.
Yeah. What about the blast templates?
I
We
didn't
didn't
get
to see a whole lot of them, but
yeah, I didn't get to use any. I had a flamer on my Rhino, but it was kind of in the back line the whole game. I didn't really get to do a whole lot with it. I really wish I could have brought it to bear more, because I wanted to get a blast template going, or flamer template going. I love the scatter die. Like you're lobbing shots. You're in the middle of combat. You're lobbing shots into the air, hoping you're hitting something. The wind takes it, or like you just you kind of like snapshot it. Not the official term snapshot, but you just kind of like take a shot randomly, and it just scatters. And you're in an area where it's like dense fighting. Like the chaplain was going up against. You had I was deep in your back line, and you're shooting one guy. You shot with your two Cassilis or whatever they are.
Yeah,
and it ends up hitting your own troops by accident. Yeah, it's that level of once again quote unquote realism makes it super enjoyable. It's a super fun game just because of that.
Nice, cool, man, cool.
Yeah,
I agree. I love the crunchiness of the rules. Like the interactions have rules, right?
Yeah.
It's just not everything is abstract.
Yeah. The issuing challenges is nice too, right? Like it's very loreful, it's very like flavorful. Like in the middle of combat, Garvio Loken sees Little Horus and they get into a fight. You know what I mean? Like that kind of fighting in the middle of a battle would make sense.
Right.
Why would you're fighting 10-man versus 10-man? You each have a leader unit. Why would a captain be swinging at cultists if there's like a dude right there that is obviously leading the group? He would want to single him out. And if you don't have precision in 10th, you can't until the chaff is gone.
Yeah.
But having that in this game is super nice. Initiative in combat is super fun, and it makes sense. A lot of the rules just make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody who's more adept at fighting would fight first, and then if they're both the same level, the same skill set, they would fight at the same time. Why wouldn't they? They would lock blades and go at it.
Yeah, and you never even saw like Power Fists and Thunderhammers.
No.
Very strong in game because they're strength 8. Like they're going to instant death Marines and everything.
Oh.
But they always strike at initiative 1.
Oh, makes sense.
So there's that give and take of, I'm going to charge this really strong Terminator squad with a bunch of Thunderhammers in, but they have to eat all the damage before they get to swing because they're these huge cumbersome weapons.
Right.
And so yeah.
You got to wind up right before you swing it. So yeah, that makes even more sense from like a lore kind of daydreaming mental kind of state. Yeah, that aspect of this game and the way the rules are written around that makes for a very enjoyable narrative experience, even if you're just thinking about it in your own head.
Yeah. Very cool, man. What are some like I don't know, maybe more negative things you maybe didn't enjoy or that you kind of missed from 40K.
Everything else was bad.
Everything else, okay,
No, no,
okay.
no, no, no. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um, a lot of the things that were confusing to me were the dice rolls. Obviously, twin linked in
Yes,
40K
yes.
is re-rolling wounds, and this is re-rolling hits in this game.
That's a point against 40K. I just want to say, twin linked has been a rule forever, and
And they
it's
changed
always
it
been
for
reroll
10th.
hits.
Okay.
Yeah, they put it as reroll wounds in 10th. That's what everybody's like, what?
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
sorry. I'm not here to take over your points. I'm just
You know,
I'm
you're
getting
fine. You're
defensive
fine.
about that one.
Yeah, yeah. The thing with if it's a ballistic skill of 5, then it's the opposite side of the die, which is a 2. That is such a weird, bizarre rule to me. Coming into the game in ninth, where a ballistic skill of 3 means you have to roll a 3 or higher, intuitively makes sense to me. I would never think to look on the other side of the die to determine what my hit would be.
Yeah.
That
And
seems a little backwards to me.
yeah, and even the other side of the die thing is always like a colloquial thing. Like that was never like officially like in the rules. It was just ballistic skill 2 hits on a 5 plus. Ballistic skill 3 hits on a 4 plus. Ballistic skill 4 hits, and,
Right.
uh, my reasoning I think we kind of thought up was it was in a time where you had the stat blocks for the units, and it was always the higher the stat the better. So
Yeah,
how do we make a higher ballistic skill work for like hitting better? And so they kind of made that
that makes sense.
into a thing. But yeah. No, I totally get it though. It makes no sense coming from a land of I hit on a 3, so I hit on a 3.
Right. It it felt like at times I was playing with golf scoring. A lot of the game is built around like lower numbers are better. And to me that reads as like, like almost like how golf is played, right? A lower score is better.
Yeah.
And coming from 10th to here, it's the same experience but completely different at the same time. I feel like a lot of the tactics are the same. I feel like the way you play and you move, like your mindset as like a general of your army, is relatively the same. It's just the nuances that are the complete polar opposite of what you're used to. There's not a lot of dice rolling. There are no re-rolls. Kind of whatever happens happens,
Yeah, yeah.
which is rough at times. Like
You have to live with it, yeah.
yeah, there's not a lot of dice manipulation, so it's very, very RNG based. I did like. It took me a while to understand how armor worked, but it did finally click for me towards the end. But other than that, like, there wasn't a whole lot of negatives about it. Obviously, I brought a list where I didn't have nearly enough line units, which I didn't know going in. First game learning experience.
Yeah.
Take it at face value. But I did enjoy it overall. I felt like it was a cool game, very, very, very flavorful, very lore centric, very intuitive for how things should be. Especially with like the firing arcs, the doors on the vehicles. I enjoyed it, and I would like to play more. I would like to play another game for sure.
Nice. Okay. We can arrange that.
Yeah,
Definitely
I know.
arrange
Yeah,
it. Just out of curiosity, what was your opinion on the vehicle armor values as opposed to toughness on vehicles?
Oh, I don't understand it still to this day. It like, yeah, I still don't get it. I love the table for damage. I watch a lot of I believe the YouTube channel is Miniscapes. And
Okay.
he paints a lot of second edition minis, and I just like watching it for like the old brighter color schemes, how he's achieving that with today's paints.
Yeah.
And he has put up some battle reports from second edition, and they're very fast, very, very fast, because it's just like Horus Heresy. There's not a lot of dice rolling. There's very little manipulation. It's way more based on small, tight units. It's almost like a skirmish style game more than where 40K has become this bloated horde army. My turn's going to take an hour and a half, and then your turn's going to take an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's a lot more tight gameplay. There's a lot more rules, and it's a very, very confusing. I think he explained in second edition there's like there's a rule where if your vehicle careens off and hits something, there's 3 or 4 pages of how you determine collision.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Second edition had rules for running out of ammo.
yeah.
Like, it's crazy. Second edition is crazy.
Yeah. So, like, I could see a lot of second edition in Horus Heresy, right? Because it is based off of, like, I think you said 5th edition or 7th?
Yeah, it's based off of 7th edition, but
Yep.
there's 40K between kind of 2nd, 3rd, and 7th edition were all very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that in mind, I was able to, like, I seen a lot of that in this game. The damage table on vehicles is really cool. Really, really cool. I like that a lot. It really hard to shift your Land Raider or your Spartan, only because it's just a beast. The armor value on it is just way too high for me to do anything effective to it.
That was without the flare shield too. If anybody's listening, I did not put the flare shield on the thing.
Yeah, so my Xiphon was ineffective against it, I think turn 3, so turn 4 I abandoned that and took out your Rhino instead. Yeah, my Predator, got one shot by it, and then, didn't do anything else the rest of the game. It was just a flaming hole in the back line the whole time.
It looked gorgeous, though.
Yeah.
Gorgeous flaming hole.
Yeah, it looked great on fire. Yeah, it looked fantastic. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. I really did, thoroughly enjoyed it. I would love to play another game. Having all this information now, I would definitely tweak my list to include certain units, drop certain units, and obviously drop a ton of the upgrades I gave.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for giving your thoughts on this.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
This Horus Heresy game. It was a lot of fun to play. It was fun, just like teaching, and you're really easy to teach too. It's not like I'm explaining to a 5-year-old. Like, I feel like I've done games in the past with some people. So not Horus Heresy. I've never taught anybody Horus Heresy, but yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm glad you had a lot of fun. Yeah, and I think we'll definitely play a game in the future.
Yeah,
game going.
With you playing this game more often than I have, do you find that these games go much faster than a game of 40K, or is it about the same? Is it about comparable?
The same or slower.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
I think part of the reason the games go slower is because in general people have larger armies. So a standard size game of 30K is 3,000 points.
Oh, okay.
And I play someone that plays Solar Auxilia. He has 120 infantry and like 9 or 10 tanks on the board.
Right. Okay.
And that's his 3,000. Now he uses movement trays for his army, but it's still like it's a ton of dice. I've noticed I've played the same guy like 4 or 5 times, and we have quite a few people in our group, but I tend to match schedule with this guy a lot more. But we find when we look up the rules less, which we've been doing more and more, the games go a lot faster. But it's still, in person, 4 hour game.
True.
We're playing 3,000 points. It's a 3,000 point game though,
Right.
There's a reason Horus Heresy games are only 4 turns now.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I think if we played a 2,000 point game and I knew the rules as well, quote unquote, as well as I know the rules for 40K, I think we would be able to knock out a 2,000 point game 4 turns in probably 2 hours.
Yeah, I would say 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours is more than reasonable if we know the rules.
Yeah.
It's it's those things like 40K 10th is so streamlined where you can look up rules very fast, and there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot more resources out there to look up rules, like Wikipedia. So you can look up rules quick, and the interactions are fairly simple. When you get into 30K, like there are some wild interactions that end up happening between like targeting units or barrage and like there are probably 400 different guns in this game, and they're spread between different books, and the rules, the rule books aren't super clear on where the rules are located, like GW has a problem doing. And so you can end up flipping through one book for 15 minutes looking for a weapon profile only to find out it's in the main rulebook, not in the Liber Hereticus.
Right. We kind of
Yeah.
had something like that happen with me where I had my Contector Terminators have Volkite Cavators on them,
Yes.
which is
Yep.
a totally unique weapon profile. What is it? Strength 6, AP 5 with a
10
deflagrate.
inch range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a Volkite weapon,
Right.
right? But since it's unique to that unit, it's only in those profile. But you're saying Volkite Cavators. I'm thinking normal Terminators can get Volkite Chargers,
Yeah.
which are a similar weapon, just a little worse. There's also Volkite Calivers, which are a similar weapon, but it's a different profile. And then it goes up to like Volkite Culverin, and
Yep.
and you're saying Volkite Cavators, and I'm like, no, surely you're misreading the word
Nope.
slightly, But
Nope.
no, we look through all the rules and we're like, it's nowhere to be found until we got to the profile of the Night Lords, and we were looking in the Liber Hereticus too. Like you would think they would just put all the weapons in the weapons section, but
Yeah, we had to call the TO over. The painting wife had to come down. She had to make a
yeah,
judgment. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Painting Son was throwing a fit the whole time about unpainted minis on the table,
Yep.
but no, it's it's a lot of rules to look up, a lot of interactions, a lot of weird places to find rules, which is why I typically print out my list with like full rules every time I play a game.
You kind of have to, honestly.
Yeah.
Even on Battlescribe, there are so many things. Just me looking around here, while we've been doing this podcast, I have Artificer armor on a bunch of things. I don't know if that would have made a difference on certain saves.
All like unit sergeants and stuff, right?
Yeah, yes. My
Probably
sergeants
would
have
have.
Artificer. Yeah. There's so much rules and upgrades I gave people. I don't even know like what the hell I'm missing. Like I feel like I'm missing a ton of stuff here.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
I
don't.
print out my Battlescribe list. It's 19 pages long.
Yeah, I could see that easily.
Yeah, I double it up. I double it up and put it in landscape. So I print out a 10-page paper instead of 19 pages,
Whew.
and I just squint. Dude,
Yeah.
that's how I look up my rules.
Brutal.
Yeah. So yeah, the games typically I think go longer. They can go faster. If I had as many games of 30K as I have played 40K, I bet I could. And I was playing someone who had a similar experience. We could probably go through it really quick.
It would still be pretty brutal though.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like hanging over the table with like scatter dice and weird things with like, oh man, like terrain, like line of sight stuff matters more, and like
Right.
units fleeing the battlefield, and just so many crazy interactions that happen. But yeah, I'm really glad you had fun with it. We'll definitely play again sometime. We'll make sure you got a big Night Lords army before we do. Get plenty
Yeah.
of infantry on the table.
Yeah. At least another squad of for my 40K army, I want to get another 10 Legionnaires, and I'll have another 5 Raptors at least painted by the time we even consider playing this again. So yeah, I'll have way more infantry that's more appropriate for this list ready by the time we play again. So I'll be able to tweak this list. Like I said, take off a bunch of the stuff. And yeah, we could definitely hit this again. I would love to.
Awesome. Great. Well, with that, I think we're gonna wrap this up for today. And I don't have any like, there's no like housekeeping things that I can think of that we really have to go over. One thing I want to say is I am interested. I think Zen's also interested in like trying to make this podcast thing a little more regular. We already have ideas of episodes. We got things, a lot of like gameplay focused things that we're really interested in talking about. I don't think we talk about gameplay stuff on the hobby side enough between probably both of our streams, right?
No, not at all.
Like, yeah, like I paint, and I love to talk about games. I love gaming, guys. Like, I have such a passion for like playing tabletop games, and I love to have something that's focused on that. We do want to talk about hobbying stuff. We have ideas for hobbying, but the point is, we are wanting to, maybe make this more of a regular thing. I would love to hear some feedback from you guys. So, you're listening to this, please, send me a message, on Discord, through Patreon, through, YouTube, whatever. Send me a message. let me know your thoughts. If you have some constructive criticism, ideas, feedback, please let me know. I would be happy. If the painting thing was too obnoxious with the water swishing in the background, I was sitting here painting a solar auxilia, dude. So,
Nice.
if that's too much for you, or if you want to know more about what I'm painting, whatever, let me know. And I'm excited to continue this. I had a lot of fun. It was fun just to like sit here. I have a captive audience in Zen that we're talking about 30K.
Yeah.
For an hour or whatever. So it's great to me. Um, but yeah, do you anything else? Anything else you want to add, Zen? Any
No, I think that's it.
or...
No, I think that's it. I think yeah, this is the start of something I'm excited to do. I bought a very professional grade microphone a couple of years ago, and I don't really get to use it to its full extent. So this will be nice to
There we go.
use the moist critical mic that I have.
I might need to upgrade too, man.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt. I could shoot you some links afterwards or whatever. But
all right, sweet.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Looking to we don't talk about the games we play because it's not conducive to like a setting like Twitch where you're live streaming, and you want that level of interactivity. Telling a long form story, without the chat being able to interact, I don't feel is like great for that platform.
Yeah, the one-way conversation.
Exactly.
That it kind of ends up being. Yeah.
Whereas with, like something like a podcast, you're able to, we could talk about those kind of things. Whereas like on stream, like you said, you and I are painting. People usually come in like, oh, what color is that? Like, how did you do that? Like, I'm painting this, and you want to have those discussions, those like real topical discussions. But, to talk about the games we play and like the little battles we've had and how we viewed it. Yeah, I would, love to continue doing this.
Awesome. Love it, man.
Yeah, we just got to come up with a name for this thing.
Yeah, we don't have a name. Name suggestions, please. I'm going to tell you guys, the painting wife's going to kill me. I asked her for naming suggestions.
Okay.
So she came up with the name The Painting Dad. So she's already got a good
No,
reputation.
she didn't.
Right, yeah. Yeah, she did, right?
No, I did.
Did you?
I gave you that name as like a throwaway idea, and you just said, yeah, that's good.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Then you're okay. Not the painting wife. Okay.
Yeah.
So she hasn't had any good ideas yet. But I asked her for a name idea for the podcast, and she said, "Well, is there any like thing that's like a pod in Warhammer?" It's like, yeah, drop pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, "Well, does that work for like you guys were talking about Horus Heresy? Does that work for that?" I was like, "Yeah, it works for both." She's like, "Oh, cool. What about like the Painting Dad's drop pod?" And I was like, "That sounds like I'm pooping."
It's right there. It's right. The Drop Podcast. It's right there.
It kind of is.
And she reads a lot. Like what?
It just can't be the Painting Dad's drop pod. Like where are we dropping these pods?
Yeah.
Like we can't. Yeah. That's.
Yeah. Welcome back, guys. We're gonna be punishing some porcelain today. Like what?
Yeah. Dropping the pods off at the pool, man. What are you talking about? This is.
Yeah, I had Taco Bell. I dropped off a dreadnought size one today.
So, Painting Wife, if you ever listen to this, I love you so much.
Sorry, Painting Wife.
Thank you for allowing us to laugh a little bit at your maybe not so wonderful idea. But
I'm gonna come over one day in like a week, and she's gonna like jump me at the door and be like, "You thought my idea was bad? I read a lot." But she's gonna jump me.
No. It's you've already had that experience, right? And she never jumped you anyway, so
yeah.
Story for another time for anybody who hasn't heard that one. But
is it the Tyranid one?
Yeah, the Tyranid one.
We might have to open up the next podcast with the Tyranid story.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll do story time on the podcast, just so these are like like written in stone. Some of these events.
Story time with Zen, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. It's an hour segment on its own. All right, we can actually wrap this thing up. We'll be back soon. We're gonna figure this out. I had a ton of fun, so we'll be doing this sometime soon. But thank you guys for listening again. Send any feedback, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.
And I'm stopping.